In the suburbs of modern Moscow, the tank traps still stand guard. Gaunt reminders to Muscovites that Nazi invaders once menaced the very heart of Mother Russia. In the dark days of autumn 1941, the summer's defeats have decimated the Red Army, and Hitler's artillery can strike Moscow itself. The Soviet Union seems on the brink of total defeat. But Stalin has his back to the wall, and he will stop at nothing to protect his power base. General Rokossovsky, then commanding an army just west of Moscow, experienced the power of Stalin's resolve at first hand.
Comrade Stalin called me during the night. The situation was pretty difficult. Our units had already fallen back in a number of areas. We knew that the commander-in-chief would probably give us such a dressing down that we would feel sick, and so I picked up the receiver of the special line with some trepidation. He asked me one question. Are you aware, Comrade Commander, that the enemy has occupied Krasnaya Polyana? And are you aware that if Krasnaya Polyana is occupied, it means that the Germans can bombard any point of the city of Moscow? At dawn the next day, Krasnaya Polyana was liberated in a two-pronged attack, and two 300mm guns were captured, which had been positioned by the Germans to shell the city.
The Wehrmacht is almost at the gates. But as Hitler's propaganda proclaims imminent victory and citizens prepare to meet a renewed assault, Stalin is waging his own campaign for Soviet hearts and minds. Stalin's eve of anniversary address will take place as usual, but from the safety of Mayakovsky subway station. And on the night of November the 6th, Moscow's military and party elites gather in the marbled metro. Ushered to Stalin's side, Marshal Budony knows he is out of favor. Malenkov, Beria, Molotov, Kaganovich, all applauding the man they fear.
Период мирного строительства кончился.
He can hardly conceal the extent of Soviet defeats, but Stalin does claim 4.5 million German casualties. Red Army losses, he says, are only about a third as high. And Germany is on the point of collapse. At the next day's Red Square parade, listeners hear Stalin invoke the names of military heroes that served the Tsars. Now, his very survival requires their patriotic support and sacrifice. No talk this year of socialist values or revolutionary pride.
Враг не так силен, как изображает.
The enemy is not as strong as some frightened and small-minded intellectuals think. The devil is not as black as he is painted. There is no doubt that Germany cannot endure such a strain for long. A few months more, perhaps half a year or a year, and Hitler's Germany will collapse under the weight of its crimes.
But do they believe him? Artillery cadet Ivanikin didn't.
It was the parade in 41. It was winter, or rather it was November, but the snow was bitterly cold and it was dark. As we paraded across Red Square, I was somewhere in the fifth line on the right flank, with my eyes facing to the right. And I was surprised that Stalin looked so short in his hat and ear flaps, not at all like the man we had seen in the portraits everywhere. So at the bottom of my heart, I felt a little dubious when he said that the war would be over in 6 months to a year. Despite all this, we understood full well that this war would continue for more than 6 months to a year.
But Stalin's words impress his worried allies, and it doesn't matter what the troops think. Few of them will live that long. They'll be marching straight from the parade to the front. because as the snows deepen, the new German offensive is almost ready to begin. The Wehrmacht has reason to be confident in its preparations. For more than 2 years of war, it has been invincible. And most of its commanders believe, like Hitler, that the Red Army is already as good as beaten. As they look forward to battle and to winter quarters in the Soviet capital, Nazi propaganda shows them cheerful, accustomed to victory. Only a few of their commanders have noted worrying signs of exhaustion, of poor preparation for a winter campaign that was not supposed to be necessary. For most, though, the weather is still a source of simple amusement. Surely nothing can save Moscow now. Yet Leningrad, almost completely surrounded since the early autumn, is already facing the deadly wrath of the Wehrmacht, and it is still holding out.